Okay. Hey, Robifer, how's it going?
Robifer. It's funny. My default on on Zoom here is just my company name. It's not Robifer,
Oh,
but
it
maybe
should
I
be.
need to change it to Robifer. Robifer. There we go. Robifer.
Perfect. Robifer, he, him. Nice. I was a little
Yeah.
bit, I was wondering.
Yeah, well, you got to wonder. Oh, what's fresh today, man?
Oh, just pounding through meetings and the to-do list, which means I haven't had a chance to eat anything yet. Just sipping on the old liquid lunch again. I feel like this happens a lot when we chat. Liquid lunch for me is the tea or coffee or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I just have probably, I guess, my second mate of the day. And
Nice.
just rocking through things. But you know what I've been doing? So my mate, sometimes I'll put maca in it, or I'll use chaga. I'll blend a big pot of chaga tea and just use that to make my mate. So the maca or that, and usually a little honey for sweetener. But I've been really, I think it was maybe Escabona one year. Yeah, I think at the last Escabona in like 2019 we were at, or 2018, I guess it would have been, that we were at. There was this superfood creamers. There was like this whole line of them. And I just kept dumping them into my cup. And,
you just like
drinking.
walk by the booth every couple hours and fill it up.
Well, I think they're on the back table there. And just like, I would dump them in.
Oh, they were just there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, fill up with hot water, throw some mate tea bags in there, and put some of this stuff in. It's called Laird Superfood Creamer. Actually, that's what I put in today. This cacao one.
Nice.
Have you heard of this stuff?
I have actually. Yeah, it's I find them at Costco actually. I bumped into them I think first time at Expo West. I want to say and saw what they're putting out there. And at the time I was like, I don't know what's in that. That's kind of weird. But I've always liked putting some cream in my tea or coffee in some way. So I was curious. So I tried it and I thought it was interesting. And then I actually worked with one of our clients, Nutiva, on some kind of ideas for around their MCT powder. And that kind of got me further in that path of like, well, maybe there are some ways to supercharge my tea or coffee. And then I eventually just was walking through Costco and saw that Laird has a giant Costco size bag.
I feel so inadequate.
Creamer.
Yeah.
You should check your bag size there. Bigger is better when it comes to superfood. So yeah, I picked it up and it became kind of a somewhat regular routine where I'd like to put a little extra nutrition into my coffee. And I'm not a huge supplements person typically, but I have to say I did some like experiments early on when I started putting MCT powder in my coffee, and that this was one where I could kind of see a somewhat noticeable difference. Like if I was in a meeting without MCT, maybe my brain would be a little foggier or whatever. And there could be other variables. Maybe I didn't sleep as well, so who knows? But it started feeling like when I did have the MCT powder in there, I was just a little bit sharper and a little bit more ready to go in the morning. So it's, while not every day, it's become kind of a common habit of mine to put a little spoonful in there, or maybe I'll have mushroom coffee or other supplements or something like that might do other brain boosting kind of activities. Actions.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, MCT is kind of, who's the Dave Asprey in Bulletproof Coffee kind of like created this category, or maybe popularized. I think the category was already there, but just definitely popularized it. And similar,
I think they popularized it for like animal based, right? Because they were doing like butter coffee, and then I think companies like Laird and Nutiva were like, well, what about plant based? And they went more for the coconut.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, what's interesting about the coconut over, and if we did like a footprint analysis of the animal fat versus the vegetable plant-based fat, I think it would be huge savings. But one thing, when I look in here, coconut milk powder, and I've always appreciated companies, and I think Big Tree did this for a bit, where they had, and they might still do it, but they had coconut water powder. and they're able to quantify, like, not shipping that water, but just shipping that powder along. And on here, when I looked at the Laird, and as you know, I'm pretty into conscious brands or impact driven brands as yourself, and was looking on here. I was like, oh great, non-GMO, and looked at it. Okay, organic coconut sugar and cacao and seed derived calcium, and then I saw this Aqua Min, and I was like, oh cool, they're quantifying their minimum footprint because they're not shipping water, and looking at how much impact that they have as a product, environmental impact. But when I looked at it closer, Aqua Min is a registered trademark, and
I was curious about that.
Yeah. So, hey, do you mind if I
did you look into the Aqua Min?
Yeah, I like to dive into this stuff.
Yeah, you're for sure an online researcher.
I'm becoming an online researcher. So here's the Aqua Min and everything you need to know. And yeah, basically it's a multi-mineral complex, which is derived from the red marine algae. I won't even try to say that word. But it's interesting, like where we're getting some of our nutrients from with things. But let's go back to Laird, because Laird is why we're here and why we're talking. Which flavor do you have, Gage?
So I just have the original here. I think mainly because it felt like, I think this was the only one that Costco had, but also it felt like if I want like a more neutral flavor, so that I could put it in anything. I could put it in my various teas, I could put it in coffee, I could put whatever, and then if I wanted to add other flavor, I could. So it just felt more universal. I have actually did recently pick up their turmeric though, because I'm a big fan of turmeric coffee as well. Although that one I feel like had a little bit of an off taste to it. So I don't know if the coconut was a little funky on that one, or if the turmeric itself is a little bit odd in that batch. What, and you have the chocolate?
I have the chocolate one. Yeah, chocolate and mate goes so good, or cacao they're calling it. And I definitely like the cacao and superfoods, and I think similar to you, like it is that boost. It's kind of like a microdose boost. So the lion's mane side of mushroom blends, of getting that extra boost. But it looks like here they have medium ground mushroom coffee, which would be interesting to try, which I'm actually going over to. And it's still coffee. I'm not a fan of coffee. I just can't I can't get into the beans.
The beans.
The coffee beans.
Oh, you just can't get into coffee in general, or you just don't like the dark roastiness of it compared, because I think pre-moving to Seattle, I was more of like a green tea, matcha, like all that kind of stuff was my bag. But then moving to Seattle, this more rainy, cloudy weather, like there's something special about a super dark roast of coffee when you live in this weather.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny because coffee, when I lived in Vancouver, is when I got into coffee, and I moved like in January to Vancouver, and there's this great little coffee shop that I'd go into, and I'll be like, oh, I feel like alive now. And you can see why that birthplace of coffee was kind of in North America anyway, or popularizing coffee in Seattle area. But no, I find with coffee that I kind of just spike in energy and then crash. Maybe it's interesting, like with something like the MCT, just seeing if it balances that out. But that's where I go for mate, kind of all those B complexes, and helps to soothe and elevate the mood. I don't come down and want to kill the cat type of.
Yeah, there was a brand that was popping up and making some waves for a little bit called Java Zen, and they were solving that problem. They knew that coffee created a bigger spike, but then a bigger crash, and tea had like maybe a little bit more mellow pick me up, but a smoother crash, so to speak. And so that if they could combine coffee, tea, and some superfoods, that they could create a really nice, more even kind of high, for lack of a better word, and then kind of a more mellow, kind of tapered off crash. And so it was really interesting concept that I've kind of since, unfortunately, they didn't work out for whatever reason. I think they overextended themselves financially or something like that. But I planted the seed in my mind that you can kind of combine the two. So I'll often like be mixing different things into my coffee just to kind of play with different ways of making it more into a super coffee.
Yeah, well, it's a great delivery system, right? A warm beverage in the morning. And that's where, using like I'll put a whole bunch of chaga or reishi in the Instapot and just brew like a big batch.
I stole the screen share for a moment because we were also just talking about the impact of coconut versus some other kind of industries. And it reminded me of this impact sustainability report we did with So Delicious many moons ago. So this is based on kind of their older brand. But if you see over here, this chart on the right-hand side that I sort of zoomed in on a bit.
Oh yeah.
It had a comparison between coconut milk or, coconut in general versus almond, soy, and dairy. And you can see the massive kind of difference that happens or the between the kind of dairy industry's carbon footprint versus coconut milk. With that said, obviously regenerative organic dairy and so on and so forth might be lower than this, and not all coconuts equal and so on and so forth. But as a general comparison, I thought that was an interesting to see those numbers and how they compare.
Yeah, and actually I was going to show you some of the comparison we did, because there's the GHG, there's land use and water, and we did a study for a Canadian company called Earth's Zone, where we looked at dairy, oat milk, almond, and cashew milk, and looked at all the different comparisons of it. Which nice. Actually, I think when we did our 1 degree, I was drinking Earth's Zone oat milk. So maybe we should dive into that at some point. But we didn't compare coconut. But yeah, well, let's jump into this Laird's. If I can steal that screen back.
For those who don't know, Laird is this whole brand is based off of Laird Hamilton, the kind of world famous pro surfer. And you can see that they lean pretty heavily into that kind of background with a little graphic image of Laird in the logo. But then I guess that wasn't enough, at least on my packaging. So they decided to put a giant photo of Laird on a wave, which is the exact same position too, if you look at it with the logo. So it feels a little repetitive, but they're obviously trying to hit it over the head, leaning off of his celebrity cred. I'm also guessing part of what's motivating that is he's not just a celebrity, but an athlete, right? So this whole idea of kind of nutrient dense or kind of performance boosting kind of products in your coffee or tea is a relevant and interesting angle for them to take.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you're a surfer, Gage, being on the West Coast there. I guess I'm an aspirational surfer, but the very few times I've been up on a board, it is just exhilarating,
Really?
So yeah, but I imagine if you're out hitting some epic waves, you're gonna need a little instant fuel. It sounds like
I'm much more of a land animal. I prefer to stay on land. I don't love getting wet or having all those creepy animals underneath me. And as a pale redhead, like I just don't do well in the sun either. So I just avoid beaches and water at all costs for the most part.
Well, there goes our walk on the beach as planned.
Yeah. In fact, when Expo got canceled previously, Expo West, and you and I were stranded there, we ended up going down to Santa Monica and hanging out on the beach, and I ended up getting pretty fried from that like just little 45-minute nap or whatever we took on the beach.
Well, maybe next time we need to have some big sun hats and metal detectors, and we could just like walk up and down the beach and comb it.
I wasn't prepared.
You weren't prepared, yeah, but that's okay. I mean, going through Expo West with a metal detector is probably not what you want to do,
unless you're trying to make a point of all the metals that are in food, and that could be interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
We digress.
We're looking at Laird. We're looking at Laird here. Focus, people. Focus.
Focus. Go on. Well, as he sounds like the MCT is kind of more euphoric than focused, which is okay. Mahala. There you go. Yeah, so just looking at the story about us, here's some values: integrity, authenticity, pro-team, health. These are great motherhood values, and maybe they've talked about what it means to them. Authenticity, staying true to our vision, our mission, and our core beliefs. Well, let's look at what their mission is. Where is their mission? Oh, I don't see their mission anywhere. So let's go back to our commitment to sustainability. Constantly, continuously working to be more sustainable. They're in Sisters, Oregon. I don't even know where that is. That's probably on the coast, I imagine. A little bit.
I can't remember where it is. I want to say it's more in the mountains, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Impacts on local economy and positive way to make sure a company was mindful of its carbon footprint. Okay, be great to understand that a little bit more. So let's look at our sustainability plan. So multiple servings per product. Yeah, and you know what I like is that it doesn't feel like a what do they call it? Shrinkflation product. It's it was full. I've seen bags with 227 grams of product in it that are, maybe another half size bigger than this, and just a lot of air just to get. So I appreciate that. A reason.
Yeah, one of these Costco bags has, lasts me for months. So I do appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Sourcing our ingredients. So this is good, but I can't click on any of these things. Water conscious, solar initiatives. Okay, so community impact, our carbon last mile, sustainability Parker. Oh, Eden Forest projects. We did some work with those guys with another client.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're doing some pretty cool stuff in restoring mangroves. But I like where Laird's going here, but I don't see any.
There's not so much transparency.
Yeah, so maybe if I watch the video.
I did watch the video, and it's pretty light, by which I mean he just kind of rattles off some of the things they're doing, just to like share kind of their commitment to health and sustainability and community, whatever, that kind of stuff. But it wasn't substantial at all.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at this, yeah, these are great, but yeah, I'd want something a little bit deeper. Especially
they don't have a report or anything published.
No, there's no report. There's no numbers at all, actually. Yeah, there's honest and transparent products, staying true to our vision, our mission, and core beliefs. What are their core beliefs? Their values? Is that what they're talking about? And what is their mission? I haven't seen their mission.
I mean, maybe it's just in that initial paragraph and it's not labeled mission. I'm not sure. It is hard to find info. That's for sure. It definitely seems like the main point of the brand is functional food, by which I mean mostly like coffee and mixes, but I think they started coming out with other products, like I want to say like pancake mix or something like that. So it's like functional food is the main focus, and then it feels like sustainability and social impact, those kind of things are there as like I guess we need to have those things to be like a good modern company, but I don't think it's the point for them,
No, and like just all the things that like wild harvested, vegan, non-GMO, gluten-free, paleo, da da da. So I mean, I get that they want to sell products, and that's great. Our partnership with Feeding America. Well, let's look at that. Okay, so here's something that has been quantified. We're donating 1.5 million meals. A meal claim $1 per 10 meals to secure Feeding America on behalf of local. Okay.
So they're doing stuff. They're just not.
They're just not great at telling their story. Yeah, I mean, and it's great that they want to sell product. It looks like some of this other stuff, active prebiotic daily greens, coconut water and coffee. Doesn't have Laird surf in the coconut water.
They might be moving away from that. No, that might have been like I think it was their first product. So it was maybe like we need to let people know who Laird is, and that was the whole point of the brand. And then maybe they're slowly stepping away from that and realizing that people aren't buying it because of Laird per se. Sure, that gives them some credibility, some influencer status, whatever. But I think people are probably buying it because they want the product, not because they care that Laird's involved with it.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the coconut water here, and they're talking about the serving budget and eco-friendly makes 19 servings. Okay, that's cool. It'd be interesting to say, so one bag of hydration contains 19 1 tablespoon servings or 1.2 gallons. Flavor pro, I mean, it'd just be nice if their values are sustainability and transparency. It'd be nice to see that. So I went to actually Big Tree Farms and just looked at what they're doing, because they have a coconut water powder that I was talking about, and they've just been able to quantify this stuff, like, and talk about rooted in impact. And here's how we are rooted in impact. And we won't jump into that, but I think it's just a great example. And likely,
I think that goes to show you that, like, Big Tree's point, their reason for being is probably more environmental and social impact kind of stuff. Whereas Laird, I think it's more of it's a nutrition focused brand, like a performance focused brand, not so much a impact focused brand. And then they happen to do the impact because they're good people, but it's not the point. So maybe they're just a little bit behind on communicating and quantifying and other things because it's a lower priority.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, they have quite a selection. Hey,
it looks like they must have acquired that other brand. What is that? Picky
bars. Yeah, I think they talk about a partnership with Picky.
I think I did see something about that on LinkedIn, that the founder of Picky talking about how they'll be kind of weaving into the Laird family.
That's cool.
Yeah, they've got a lot of different stuff that I've never seen, like the peely nuts. And I'm pretty sure I saw, like, somewhere on social media or something like that they were doing like a pancake mix or something like that. It just seemed like they're going to town on product innovation right now. Maybe they're kind of shotgun methoding, just throwing a bunch of stuff out there to see what will stick. But it feels a little bit disjointed at the moment. Like, I'm not entirely sure what I would expect them to be producing. Like, when they were mostly in the creamers and the hydration and whatever, that made sense. It's like, okay, liquid energy with performance. But with all the snacks, then it's like, okay, I guess I can start to see you being just like a general good for you putting in your body. But then, jumping into all these different categories seems maybe a bit too early. I don't know the size of the brand, but seems like it might be a bit too early to stretch through that many different categories.
Yeah, they're going really wide.
Meaningfully. Yeah.
They do have an investors relation page. But hey, just one thing I wanted to say here, like, we source our harvest snacks sustainably and responsibly. We should feel it should be good for you. And I think they're doing a good job of quantifying good for you and the environment too. It'd be great to, like, again, know where this stuff is coming from. Just a little bit, especially if it's wild crafted. Because there's some, wild crafting things that aren't.
So is this Aquaman in all of their products? Because that seems to be something they're leaning in on as like their trademark ingredient, sort of like regrained, for example, with their regrained super grain, which is their upcycled mix of different grains from the brewing industry. And it seems like maybe Aquaman is Laird's version of that. It's like their hero ingredient.
Yeah, well, Aquaman, I don't think that Aquaman is. Yeah.
Is it someone else's ingredient?
I think it's someone else's. Yeah, that they're using.
Whoops. That page does not exist. Okay.
The research page does not exist. Okay, products, Aquaman. Okay. From this.
Okay, so it's a separate entity that they just source from, sort of like a Ganodin probiotics, that kind of thing that you see, those branded kind of ingredients.
The commitment, okay. So Margot, our mission is to improve the health and well-being of growing population in a more natural and ethical, sustainable way. And
it's interesting. I immediately jumped to the conclusion that it was their ingredient because it was Aquaman, like it had to do with water. And I figured, Laird's all about surfing. So that would be a logical kind of focus for them, is to have their own nice mix of vitamins and nutrients that are water related. But okay, so they're just pulling that in as an ingredient in some of their products. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, actually, and I didn't even know they're publicly traded.
Wow, I did not either. So maybe I'm wrong about it being too early to spread into different categories. They must have just rode that scale wave real quick. Because I feel like it was just a handful of years that I saw them launching at Expo. But time does fly.
Sure. Well, and you know, what's funny here is that they don't have an ESG report. Being a publicly traded company or an impact report, like they're, it was really fast going to market.
Did they say when they launched in their about page?
2015. Okay. You know, I'm gonna just open up this this investor presentation because we should have, according to this, we should have who we are, our mission. Oh, there we go. There's our vision in the slide deck in investor relations. So we believe
you can't get that baby any larger.
What are you asking for? Come on. Now I have to download it, and hopefully I'm not.
Oh, geez.
I know. Well, what do you want to talk about as it's downloaded, man?
Well, how's your guayaki with chocolate MCT powder in there?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna be like buzzing. Well, I'm already buzzing. I have to go for.
I haven't tried chocolate and guayaki, but mate. I'll have to give that a shot.
Well, actually, guayaki used to have this chocolate mate tea bag, and we would get it over the holidays. They had an orange one too that was delicious, but we get their chocolate mate, and it was kind of our holiday. So we celebrate solstice, and we get up on solstice morning and pack a thermos of guayaki chocolate mate and walk down to the river and just sit there and watch the sunrise. And there was mornings where it's like -30, -35, and it's cold. It's just before the sun comes up, and the girls would be all bundled up. We'd be bundled up, and we'd just be, drinking a little mate. So there's very fond memories of chocolate and mate.
That's cool.
Okay, so here we go. There's the cautionary statement. Who we are. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we believe better food leads to a better world. Our mission is to provide great tasting, high quality, plant-based products that are healthy, convenient, affordable, and available to all. Okay. I mean, I don't know. That's I think this mission and vision could be cut and paste and put on, XYZ
90% of the industry.
I just think that, what's their higher purpose? So why do they exist? We see a little bit of that, but, anyway.
I feel like with their connection to Laird, they could have had something much more specific there.
Yeah, and probably a great narrative on, like, other than just sharing a special coffee. I think they talk about on his, or on the About Us page. Let's see. Yeah, I think the origin story is, it wasn't long before Laird started sharing his special coffee with friends and family, and Laird shared his recipe with his friend Paul Hodge, and in 2015 it was born. Yeah. So Fuji sheep.
There's more there, and it could have been about performance. It could have been about protecting the oceans. There's so much substantial kind of backstory that could have been in there. And they just went with generic better food angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oops. Where's the 6? That's right. Oh, all over the place here. I'm trying to. Oh, there's the PowerPoint. Okay, let's see. There's the board of directors. Oh, Danone. So it's interesting because Danone's a certified B Corp. And so it's interesting that, and maybe some of this stuff is behind the scenes that Laird is reporting on, but they're just not doing a great job of storytelling it. Plant-based, omni-channel. Okay, yeah. 66 SKUs.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That so they're I think their platform must be online.
I wonder if that growth
Yeah.
must have just exploded when they went public, whenever that was. Because again, I feel like for the longest time I just saw them superfood creamers. That's all they had at trade shows. But and then maybe in the last couple of years they just exploded with product innovation.
Well, and having a subscription base, so that's a perfect platform for having 66 products, because you could put, people generally will pay $100 like on a subscription and not flinch. So I was throwing a few picky bars, some of this, some of that. Yeah. Homemade brownie mix.
I'd even consider doing it because it's hard to find at Costco sometimes. It depends on the Costco and whether or not they have it and where they store it and whatever. So if I did want to like keep it in stock, this would be a much more convenient path because it's hard to find their products in retail.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, coconut and oat max. They're getting into the oats, it looks like.
I did actually try their liquid superfood creamer through Social Nature, that online kind of product sampling platform, and I thought it was decent, but I don't, the texture wasn't quite there yet, and you had to like shake it up so aggressively to get it to blend together that it just leaked everywhere like it was coming out of the container, and so on and so forth. That I feel like it's an interesting idea. I don't know if that one's there yet. I think the powder is better right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean online, so that's where they're going. But so with that, I mean, I'm sure that they have all the data. We don't need to go through this, but I'm sure that they have all the data. Here we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Third-party independent agency help monitor the greenhouse gases of direct-to-consumer orderment. Yeah, that's easy to do. Based on the report driven by First Environment, the company will work with Eden projects. So first, I'd like to see that report. Shipping to the customer, so it ties into that. Yeah, 100,000 mangroves. So you can buy like, I think the cost of a tree is 10 cents.
If I'm reading that correctly, they're just trying to do carbon neutral for the last mile, not the other 150 miles in the supply chain. Is that correct?
That's what it seems like. But I mean, that last mile is the most expensive one. Has the most impact typically. But yeah, the company, I would imagine
that the growing might have more impact than the last mile.
Yeah, typically transportation and growing are the two largest areas of impact. But again, like the company has an internal sustainability committee and has a long list of ESG initiatives it's actually pursuing.
Yeah, why aren't they publishing any of this? It's interesting.
Yeah, what are they? And I had to dig down, right?
Yeah,
and so obviously
that 95% sure most consumers aren't going to be digging into their publicly filed investor presentation.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, I think you're right. It is a better for you performance type brand. And would I buy it again? Maybe. I do like a little extra in my mate. But yeah, I mean, I'm not paleo or what are all the other things there that they talk about?
Everything.
Everything.
They're everything.
They're everything. Yeah. So they have a lot of everything.
Yeah, I think I would buy like certain products again, but I don't feel like, based on what I've seen or read or heard or watched on videos, I don't think I'd consider myself like a true brand believer, brand loyalist at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would agree. So, what would I give these guys? Yeah, maybe a 6.5. I think there's like missed opportunity, to tell a more rounded story, especially since they're talking about it anyway. Like it's just broad stroke. Yeah, we have this long list of ESG initiatives and we're addressing them. We have a committee, a team, and our values are these things. And we had to get like staying true to our vision and our mission. and we have to go to the actual investor report to find that out. Anyway, I think that now maybe here, does this talk about it? Yeah, I mean, I just think there's a lot more transparency. If they're talking about those are their core values, integrity, and I mean, health is one that I could see. Mahala, yeah. I mean, where is their gratitude each day? A pro team. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, 6.5, I think, is what I can say to it.
Yeah, I feel like I got some background noise, sorry, but I feel like for this particular brand, I would love to see them go a little bit deeper in one area or another for me to truly believe in them. So like I think they're starting to set up a really solid brand, but if they could pick a lane, like we're all about performance products, or we're about protecting the ocean, or we're about, you know, whatever it is, healthier food or something like that, that it would be easier to believe. But right now they don't seem to have picked a lane. They seem to just put every stamp and every claim on the website, and then, you know, different products are going for different things, and they aren't publishing all the ESG or sustainability stuff they're doing. So it's hard to
Or
really
any
know
of
what they
it.
care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't even, like you said, have a mission on their website or anything about like what they truly care about. So it's a little bit hard to fully believe the brand, but I think product wise, they're doing a decent job. I would love to see, you know, as an organic consumer, I'd love to see the coconut milk powder be organic, because everything else in here is. So why couldn't that be as well? Like what's the holdup there? And maybe it's because it's too expensive and they're trying to be affordable. Like if that's the case, great. Just like be a little bit more transparent about how you're making some decisions, I think.
Mhm, for sure. But, and you know, actually, as we're talking about this, what we stand for, to provide great tasting plant-based products that are high quality, convenient, and available to all. So maybe they act on what that is, but is that their mission? Or you know, to provide great taste? Yeah, I guess it's their mission. Yeah. So maybe they are yeah, achieving their mission, because I think they taste great. They don't talk about, well, they talk about high quality, but I think they're going for a health high quality. Convenient, yeah, it was pretty easy to put that in, and available to all. I would maybe see what that means, because I mean, this was $15 for I don't know how many servings, but I mean, but is it available all, or are they saying available to all because they're on omni-channel and can blast out 66 products across their platform?
Yeah, at the moment it seems more available on their website. It's harder to find in stores, and like you said, there's a price barrier. Like their liquid creamer, I seem to remember when I tried that, it was, I don't know, let's just say four or $5 or something like that for a small container. But you know, assuming you're not plant-based specifically, you could get Organic Valley's, you know, bigger container of half and half as a creamer for like like maybe the same price or less, for like twice as much. So I don't think they're necessarily hitting that accessible in price point yet, but maybe as they grow, they can slowly lower the price point. I wish I had a record of the scores we gave some of the other brands we've reviewed so far, because I would say, like in comparison to Kettle, like we were digging around there and we couldn't find much of anything. They had more of a history around trying to be innovators in the field, but they weren't telling much of that story anymore. So I would say like Laird's doing more, it seems like, than them. We had to dig around a bit. And if they pulled some of that info out onto their websites, like some of those reports that we read about, they could easily be a couple points higher than Kettle, you know, but there's obviously some things they aren't communicating for whatever reasons. Maybe it's just, you know, priorities. They haven't gotten around to it. Maybe they decided their consumer doesn't care about it. Maybe they don't care enough about it to put it up. I'm not sure, but I would say, you know, somewhere in that 6.5, 7 seems like, based on the information they're readily providing, like a good score. But I could see them going up to like 7 or 7.5, or maybe even 8 if they published all that information that we were trying to dig into through their investor report.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's a great opportunity for sure. But yeah, it would just be nice to have a little more of that transparency. And what was it, responsible sourcing? If it's not organic coconuts, like there's a lot of and I guess we don't really have time to dive down the coconut path, but there's a lot of unsustainable practices in non-organic or even non-fair trade coconut. So
Yeah,
maybe we'll have to look at a coconut
would
company.
need to, yeah, they would need to really dive deeper into like what that responsible sourcing really means to them, because at the moment maybe that's not so believable.
Yeah, and I like in their sustainability, we have a devoted sustainability committee. Well, what the heck are they
What is
doing?
that like? What is that? 2 interns or something? What does that even mean?
Well, and actually, if we look at executive, if I go back when they have their About Us page, so regional sales manager, IT integrated manager. This is working. So let's see who's on the sustainability team. That's their sustainability plan again.
You're not screen sharing anymore. I don't know if you were meaning to share or not.
I can. Yeah. Okay. Let's screen share one more time, and then we'll wrap it up here. Okay. So CEO Paul, financial, general counsel, human resources, admin, COO. Yeah. So that's who they have. So no one on executive is sustainability. So we have these folks. No. See if there's a career available for you, Gage.
Nice.
Yeah. We won't have to be doing these videos to make ends meet anymore. Customer service, shipping, inventory, lead. Yeah, I don't. Okay. So believes better food, our mission, high quality. Are you motivated, health conscious mindset? So maybe that's their culture. We invite you to join. I just want to see these pictures. So we get to go to the coconut groves with Laird. That's cool. Have coffee with him and his partner, or hang out, have some fun stuff going on. Stay hydrated. What else do we get to do? Yeah, ride our bikes. Anyway, I don't want to sound cynical with it, but I think it's just really easy to put those images in, and maybe they really they do practice it. You know, I'm not going to question whether they practice this stuff, but I think that it's just a miss, a potential miss on their behalf.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, well, Mr. Mitchell, I need to either work through this MCT powder with my to-do list, or just go run around the block or the community or the city or the country, something. Maybe I'll run down to Seattle.
Burn off that energy in a productive way.
In a productive way. Exactly. So,
nice.
All right.
Well, good chat. Happy to connect over lunch break now and then. So always fun chatting and exploring new brands. So good chat.
Yeah, good chat with
you.
you.
Have I said good chat enough times so far in this wrap
up?
Maybe
I thought you were saying
it's been a good chat about this good chat.
I thought you were calling me a good chap. Sorry.
Let's go with that.
T's and P's.
A radio, old chap.
Radio, old chat. That was a chap I chatted with. Okay. Clearly there's a lot going on here.
A little too much mate, tea, coffee. Okay. All right. Well, good times. Talk to you later.
Yeah, see you later, Gage.